over a year and a half, I've been crafting the coolest jungle enclosure you've ever seen. Plants, animals, humidity, sun, everything you need. But I've found a way that I can change the weather without even trying. Creating a weather system is one of the hardest parts of any build. What you want to do for a lot of reptile and amphibian species is mimic the seasons and mimic the weather on a day-to-day basis, making it windy during some parts of the day, making it rain during others, and making the sun go on and off. The sun being lights, of course. And there are several ways to do this. You can use smart sockets, you can go flip things on with your own hands if you want to, but what if there was a solution so that the weather in your enclosure was completely automatic and you never had to think about it? Well, there is, and today I'm going to tell you all about it. But before I tell you about Reptilia Vita, look at this enclosure and how much it's changed since we last visited this jungle enclosure in June. It still needs a name, by the way. Feel free to leave in the comment section below the name of this enclosure. Plants have grown in a way I've never seen. I can't believe how perfectly the growth has been going and how much faster it's been since I've found this hack. Rare philodendrons are sprouting bigger and bigger leaves every single time, as are these ones, and the frogs are absolutely loving it. And not only do the frogs seem extremely happy, they're also showing signs that there might be breeding going on. I haven't found any eggs yet, but I have heard tons and tons of calling, and that's super exciting. And I think that's because we've got the rain dialed in. And that is the hack, Reptilia Vita RT01. It's the world's first 6-in-1 smart habitat controller for reptiles and of course amphibians too. Before, the way I did it was I had a smart plug for basically everything, and then I'd have to control them differently or put them on the same automation, and it was just annoying, and it was kind of boring to look at. Where look at this thing. This is way more fun, way more intuitive, and way easier, which makes keeping reptiles better for your reptiles, which is the whole point. It combines not just temperature, but humidity, UV lighting, the fan, the heating pad, or in this case, the radiant heat panel. What I love is it's an all-in-one control, so you don't have to go through different apps and different settings. You do one thing. You set up the controller, which is beautiful, by the way, sticks onto your enclosure or on the wall really easily, and it's backlit, so it's really easy to see. Plus, I mean, look how cute the reptiles look. Here's what everybody gets wrong when they start breeding reptiles or start taking care of amphibians that might be a little bit more sensitive. They don't dial things in correctly. Now, the most difficult way to dial in things correctly is to do everything yourself. Flip on switches when they need to be switched, come down here and check the temperature and humidity all the time, which is just not realistic. I mean, we're busy. If you have to go to work for 8 hours plus an hour of travel, let's say you're gone for 9 hours, how are you supposed to check everything if you don't have technology? And of course, there's other thermostats and all this other stuff, but then you have a bunch of different things you have to juggle. An all-in-one system like Reptilia Vita, this is what's going to allow everything to be automated. So if you want the humidity to be at 41% if you have a bearded dragon, or 80% if you have frogs like I do in this enclosure, this will take care of it for you. It hooks up to your misting system, to your fogger if you choose. If you want your temperature to be 25 degrees Celsius, this will keep it there because it will manipulate your heat pad, or your heat panel in my case, or your basking bulb. If you want your UVB lighting to only be on for 4 hours a day, or 5 or 6, or the whole time, it'll go on and off automatically because your RTO1 told it to. An issue that I always have with making it rain or the moisture level is if I automate it on a timer, sometimes it'll get soggy. Sometimes it doesn't need to go off. We don't need the misting system to go off. It just does because the timer tells it to, but it's already at the right humidity. If you tell your mister to go off because it's too low humidity, that's much better. Imagine a stoplight. Aren't those old stoplights that are on timers super annoying? There's nobody else around, but you have a red light anyway. The reason they got rid of those is to make things more efficient. This is the same sort of thing. In the same way that a new stoplight isn't going to stop you for the sake of stopping you, it's going to see there's no one else around and let you go. This misting system isn't going to go off because it's 2 o'clock on a Thursday or whatever, it's going to go off because the humidity is dropped below 75%. Likewise, if your misting system's supposed to go off on 2 o'clock on a Thursday and it's already 90% humidity in there because it's a humid day, it won't go off. Much better than timers. It's a pain point that I've had forever and I finally solved it. So now what we see in here is there aren't puddles on the ground, which I absolutely love. Before, the problem I had was my substrate was getting really soggy. Because it was getting too soggy, the plants weren't doing as well because plants sometimes don't want really, really wet feet. Also, all the aeroids that are on the back wall and side walls, they either were getting too dry or not dry enough. And what I've realized is if the humidity level is proper, we don't have those issues. I mean, these things look much, much better now than they did before. And that's because everything is dialed in properly. Not only that, but the fan was an issue. It was either drying things out, or if I didn't put it on enough, then things would get soggy. Now I can control it automatically in conjunction with the misting system, and that way it goes off when I want it to and it turns on when I want it to. Not only that, but it's pretty cool because now I can see the mist gliding across the enclosure because the fan goes on at the same time. Imagine rolling fog inside of your house, or when the wind blows against, say, Niagara Falls and you see all that mist. I've got that inside my enclosure now. Pretty darn cool. That's what I'm trying to do. When I'm sitting on the couch in front of this enclosure, I want it to look like a real system, like it's the real weather, like it's something that is outdoors in a jungle, but inside my home. Because of it, some of these plants that were dying are now putting out new leaf after new leaf, which is great because although we're all here for animals, of course, the animals benefit from proper foliage, from proper cover, and also it helps keep that humidity up with less water being sprayed. Plus, because I've got dart frogs in here and tree frogs, which are basically the same care, they're coming from the exact same place in the world, I can choose one of 20 different animals already preset in the system, and one of those is red-eye tree frogs, which is the exact frog inside of here, so we know it's going to keep red-eye tree frogs and everything that is kept the same way as red-eye tree frogs at the perfect parameters. Or if I choose to, I can manually adjust it. This is fantastic. So if you're newer and you're unsure, just pick the right animal. Pick, your crested gecko, corn snake. It's got them all in there. Or if you're an advanced keeper like I am, I prefer to set things manually, and you can do that here. Plus, it sticks on the wall really easily, so it's always right there, and it connects via USB, so it doesn't even take up another plug. If you get one of these power bars that has the USB in it, it connects right to that. Basically, the way that it works is the module connects to each one of these plugs. You plug them into the wall, or you can plug them into a power bar, an extension, like I've done here. Then each one of them connects through the module. Imagine Bluetooth, right? Your old school smart timers connecting to your phone, same sort of thing. And then through the module, you can manipulate the sensors and the heat and the UV and the fan and everything like that to tell the system what to do when you want it to do it. And the best part is it's really easy. The problem with tech with a lot of people is it just gets very complicated, especially if you're not a tech person. You don't need to be a tech person to figure this out. It is pretty self-explanatory. I didn't even open the manual, although it does come with one. And I am not a tech person, I promise you. Another benefit, and I can't tell exactly why this is, but the frogs that were sometimes shy before are no longer shy. These dart frogs are out all the time, way more bold, and I think that's just because the parameters are much better than they were before. I did my best. I've always done my best. Trust me, this enclosure has taken so much of my time and I love doing it. It's a passion project, but lately it just seems like much more hands-off and everyone is benefiting inside the enclosure. My only problem with the product is I don't have more of them. I'll be getting more of them for these enclosures because I'm setting up enclosures just like this one over on the other side for some, well, there's a video right here if you want to hear all about the secret projects that I haven't really talked about much on this channel. So what's the future for this enclosure? Well, hopefully the dart frogs are going to start breeding. I'm hoping once up to size, the tree frogs will start breeding too. We've got anoles in there that are also breeding. They're so happy and healthy. So the next step is to add a predator. This amazing product, the RT01, is currently being preheated on Kickstarter, and you can click the link in the description area and view more information about it, and of course, purchase it too. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit like and subscribe if you like videos like this. Do you want to see more product reviews? Let me know in the comments section. And a special thanks to the Patreon supporters. You guys get videos early, discounts on merch, all that and more for as little as $1 a month, and because I do videos twice a week, that means I'll see you on Monday.